Hey folks, Nas here, another episode of Medieval Dynasty in the Oxbow. So today, what I want to do is I'm actually going to run to town and we're going to pick up a little bit of rye. I've had a couple of comments on some videos, some past videos here, people wanting me to talk a little bit about farming, a little more about farming. So I do actually need to get rye in the ground today. So I'm going to run up here to Piastovia and get some rye. I have like 3 rye in my storage, so I need to get quite a bit more. And we'll do a field of rye. And then I'll go over some of the aspects of farming to kind of help some of the newer players out and people that are kind of curious about a few different questions. So let me head off to Piastovia and I'll be back in just a second. Alrighty, we are coming into Piastovia. We may go down there and check out some of the villagers before we leave. I did get quite a few buildings built. Here, let me go into the management screen and I can kind of show you here. So you can see here, we got a bunch of houses built. I got 2 more that are actually complete. Now these are actually a little bit upgraded. I did the upgraded roof instead of the thatch roof, which means I need to upgrade these 2 roofs to the thatch roof. Now one of these is mine. You can see my little indicator right there indicating this is my house. And then this is the gal that I brought into town, which I need to talk to her today. I think I got her up to like 50 or 60% or something, because I spent a full in-game night and day and then another night chopping wood and building these buildings and stuff, just because early game, that's a very tedious task. But anyway, let's find... Everybody's going to bed and then they're going to literally get up in, what, a few minutes? Okay, so the seed vendor is normally at this booth right here. He's usually standing right in here, or he's working on this little leather stand right here. But I believe we can also find him right here. I think that might be him. Yeah, this is him right here. He's got the little red cap and red shirt on. Marcus Law.
Hail, friend.
Probably butchered that. But anyway, he's your seed vendor. He's got a bunch of different stuff. Of course, he's got bronze bars and things. Clay pots, clay. He's got some of the clay vases. He's got daub and fertilizer and everything. So we are looking for rye. So let's go down here to rye. Now oat, we are going to eventually get oat in the ground, but it goes down in the spring. Rye, there it is. Now I've got 3. I think I've got 3 in my resource storage, and my plots are 9x5, which is 45. So I need to have 42 rye, and I've already got 70 fertilizer back at the resource storage too. So we just need to pick up the rye.
Whatever you need.
Actually, I could also pick up carrot, because carrot's going to go in the ground next season. Nope, just there. This, and we're going to pick up 45 carrot. So we'll go ahead and have that on hand, and then I need to pick up another 20 fertilizer because I only have 70 right now. No, I don't. I don't need to pick up any fertilizer. I have cabbage laying on the floor of the food storage that's going to turn to rot next season. I can turn that into fertilizer and use it.
Best goods in so long.
So there we go. So to turn rot into fertilizer, you need the barn. You got to have to use the workstation in the barn. It takes 10 rot to make 1 fertilizer. The reason I use cabbage for rot instead of using cabbage for food is you get 4 rot per cabbage. So you want to make sure if you're starting out doing that. Now, berries are a great thing to use, like your first season and everything, to grab berries and then let them rot. And then in the summertime, you got fertilizer. Berries give you 1 rot per berry. So in order to have a decent amount, you've got to have 10 times as many berries as fertilizer that you're needing. So if you're doing a 9x5 plot, you have 45 little squares that you have to fertilize, which means that you have to have 450 berries. So you pick the berries, drop them on the floor in the food storage, and then the next season they will turn to rot. And in your barn, as long as you have the barn available, you can turn that rot into fertilizer, and it'll give you 45 fertilizer. Now, once you have the ability to get the pigsty, you can actually get pigs. If you're doing pigs, I personally like to start out with a male and 2 females, so 3 pigs. You're going to want somebody working the pigsty, and speaking of that, I forgot to actually go over and talk to those villagers. Oh well, I'll have to do that later. But anyway, you'll need somebody working the pigsty, and you're going to need animal feed. That way you can, 1, breed the pigs, so you get more pigs. More pigs is more manure, more fertilizer. More fertilizer is bigger fields. And pigs are a great way to actually get fertilizer. But I do like to start out with the cabbage fields. That way, if I need to, I can use some of the cabbage for food, but I usually don't end up doing that. But it allows me a nice huge buffer of fertilizer. And then if you have excess fertilizer, you can actually sell it. Alrighty, let me run up to the resource storage. Let me grab the materials that I'm needing. As you can see, I've laid out quite a bit more. I've doubled my field sizes. So I've got the 5 fields down here, and then I've added 5 more fields up here. Now this one here is already going to be cabbage because I planted cabbage in it. I don't need to set it or anything like that. It's already set because I physically did it. Now, if I'll go over in just a little bit how to set the fields or even change the fields to a different crop. That was one of the questions. So let me grab, we're going to need bags. I'm going to grab an extra because that one bag is already down on quality. We're going to drop the carrot seeds in here because I don't need them until next season. And then we're going to grab 45 fertilizer. There we go. And I'm going to grab this damaged iron hoe that I found somewhere. Grab that wooden hoe. I'm going to need a few more wooden hoes. So let me make some of those up real quick. I'll be right back. Alrighty. So here we go. What you're going to need when you start actually doing your farming. Let me do this. Let me actually do this. We're going to remove this field and I'll put it back. Alrighty, so you can see that we've got these fields laid out. When you're ready to actually start laying a field, what you want to do is you want to hit Q on your keyboard, go to buildings, go to farming, scroll over here and go to field, and you'll see that you get this little green or red. It was on top of my field earlier. This little square. Now you can start it anywhere you want, but it's going to lay out either on the east-west axis or the north-south axis. That's the only way these fields lay down. You cannot rotate them. You can't turn them. This is it. You either lay them down either in this orientation or in this orientation. And as you can see, I've laid mine down in the the east-west orientation. So mine are longer than they are wide in this orientation. So what I want to do is I want to come off of this corner here because I want them all to line up. And you can see there's a little bitty gap going down between each field. So I come off of this just one little tick. I do left click to place, and then I can stretch it out. You don't have to hold left click. You just tap it one time just to start the field. And you see at the bottom of the screen, you can see I've got a 1x5 right now. So it's 1 high by 5 wide. And then we can just drag that. I want to go 9x5. So there's our 9x5, and then I can hit left click again, and you can see it placed my little field. I've got field 10 I'm standing in. You can see the little pegs and everything. Now what you want to do is you want to actually grub the field. You can see it's not grubbed, requires hoe right there in the center of the screen. So you want to actually get your hoe out, and you're going to go and you're going to face the ground and you're going to move and you're going to grub. And this is left click to grub. And you're going to do this until you've done this for the whole field. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Alrighty, there we go. We grubbed up our field, and then you can see our little pegs that we're laying out here on the outside. They're gone. So now this field is established. So now you can see in the center of the screen, it says it requires a bag and fertilizer. So we got to do that next. So you want to equip your bag. I've got mine in 5. With the bag equipped, you can kind of see it there. I've got to hold it in my hand. You're going to want to right click. It's going to bring up the field farming wheel. You want to click field, and then you're going to click fertilizer, which is down here on the bottom. Now you can see that the little X's next to each thing, those are items that you cannot plant this season. The things that you can plant are the rye and the wheat this season. So it'll tell you in this wheel what you can plant whatever season you're in. So, alrighty, right now we're going to do fertilizer. So you want to click fertilizer. So you can see it in the bottom right corner. It says bag, and right below it in yellow, it says fertilizer 45. Lets me know that I've got 45 fertilizer. So now, just like we went through when we grubbed the field, we're actually going to apply fertilizer with left click, and you're going to apply it to each square in the field. So let me go through and put all this fertilizer down. Alrighty, here we go. We have got all our fertilizer down. You can see in the bottom right corner, I have 0 fertilizer left for my bag. Now, you can see here the field says unplowed and it requires a hoe. So we're going to equip our hoe again so we can plow the field. So just like when we were grubbing the field, you're going to use left click and you're going to plow the field. So go through and plow your field, and I'll see you when I'm done. Alrighty, and here we go. Our field is now plowed. Looking good. We're almost there. Alrighty, so you can see right now it says unsown, requires bag. So we want to put our bag back in our inventory, or back in our action slot there. So you can see I'm holding my bag again, and it needs a seed. So we need to right click on the screen so you can open the field side of the bag, and then you want to plant whatever it is that you've purchased to plant for that season. Again, remember, if it's got an X next to it, you cannot plant it during that particular season you're in. So I got 42 rye. Oh, no. I got to go get my rye out of my resource storage. Let me go grab those other 3 rye. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. So now I can open the wheel. I can go to, where's the rye? There we go. Now I got my 45 rye grain. You can see it down there in the bottom right-hand side of the screen that I've got rye grain 45 and the bag. Now I do have an extra bag, so if this one breaks, it will auto-equip so I can keep going and planting the seed. So just like you've done with the grub and the fertilizer and everything, with the bag in hand and the rye chosen, you want to do left click to apply the rye to the field. So let's go ahead and do that on all of the little squares in your field. Alrighty, folks, and here we go. Boom. We got all of our rye down on our field now, and we are done. You have planted your first field, or your 10th field. Now, since I've already planted the rye, this will always be a rye field. And since I've planted cabbage in both of these will always be cabbage fields unless I change them, which I don't intend to. Now, I have all of these other fields. I've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other fields that don't have an assignment. They haven't been assigned anything because nothing's been planted in them. Now, if you go into your management screen, you can see this little icon right here in the middle, the fields, and it'll bring up all of your different fields. And you can see here, I've got this one's cabbage. So you can see all the little cabbage in it. And you can see the orientation as well. So my fields are laid out on an east-west orientation. If they were laid out on a north-south orientation, this little rectangle would be flipped the other direction. So that's where the orientation comes in. So this is north, south, east, and west. That way you have your orientations and stuff right. But You can see that I've also got, this one is also cabbage, and then we go down to field 10, which is our rye, and there's all our rye. Now, you can see that the rye is green because it's planted. If we go back up here to the cabbage, you can see that it needs to have stuff done because it's a different color. And you can see the icons up here at the top. White is not grubbed. So if we go down to one here, oh, all of my fields are grubbed. I'm sorry. Do I have a field that's not grubbed? Yeah, there we go. So number 9 is not grubbed. I grubbed one little square. And then you can see here that it's oops, wrong click. You can see here the little gray, unfertilized. That's unfertilized, and then unplowed, unsown. Plant growth, green means that it's growing, and then the yellow is ready to harvest. So that way you know what you're looking at when you look into this screen. Just look up here at the little icons to see what color everything is. But you can usually tell visually by just looking at your field what's really going on. Now, if you want from this screen, you can set each of your fields what they want to be. So like we can go to field 3 and I can click on the little man with the little wheat grain looking thing here. And then you can see we have nothing in this field. So I can actually I can click on empty and it brings up my selection. So I can choose what I want in that field. So let's say I want to do onion. So we can do onion. We can double click the onion. Now it says onion up here. Now, what you want to do is you want to hold down left click. You see it puts the onion icon in that square, and then you can actually drag the square while you're holding left click down for however many plots you want to put it in. You can make it any size you want, all the way up to the size of the field. I'm going to make the entire field onion. So we'll do that, and then I'm going to hit escape. It's going to bring up this little field change thing. It's going to want to make sure that you want to save it, and you click F to save that. Now, this field is onion, and you can see it at the top of the screen right here under crops, because there's all your little icons right there. Now, some of this stuff, you just have to learn what the little icon looks like, but you can also, when you're in this screen here, with the field highlighted, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see H, custom name. So what we can do, since we did that as an onion field, we're going to name it onion. You can hit enter to accept. Now it moves it to the bottom of the list down here because now it's named. Now, if we get out of this screen here, you can see it says field 3 onion. So now this field will always be onion, and you can go through and you can name all of your fields. We can go into field 2. We can go to management, go to the fields, go to field 2. Nope, don't double click on it. Just highlight it. Click H, and we can go cabbage and accept. And then we can do our first one. This is also cabbage. You can see the icon right there. Hit H. We can go cabbage. That way, when you're between seasons, now it's obvious that this is cabbage because these little things stay in this field. Matter of fact, I think they'll stay there until the end of the season, and then they'll disappear. But there's nothing there. It's just a visual is all that is. But you can see field 1 cabbage, field 2 cabbage, field 3 onion. And you can go through and you can do that for everything. So that way, when or if you get people in your farm shed to work, then they will automatically start doing all of the farming stuff for these fields as long as they have all of their materials in the resource storage. And that's one other thing I want to go over real quick. So if you go into your inventory, if you highlight any item in your inventory, it's going to tell you what storage it needs to go into. So like I've got the bag highlighted right now. If you look down here at the bottom, it says resource storage. So it needs to be in the resource storage in order for your villagers to actually access it and use it. Now, yes, you can put some of these items in the workstation storage, but you do not have to. And in some cases, they won't use the items out of that storage. It's easier to follow this rule here. If it says resource storage, you put it in the resource storage. If it says food, so like the roasted meat, is a food item, it's going to tell you to put it in the food storage. So if you're ever wondering where something needs to go, if you've got something in your inventory and you're like, man, what storage do I put that in? Just highlight the item in your inventory and look right here. It'll tell you every time. So there's no more guessing as to what storage any item in your inventory will go in. Then when they harvest, so like, let's see, your farmer harvests the cabbage. Well, cabbage is a food. It's going to go in the food storage. Then the seed that they get, the seed belongs in the resource storage. So they'll put the seed in the resource storage. So each of the items will go in the respected storage when your villagers do it. That way you always can access what it is, and they can also access what they need to access. Now, I'm also going to put on the screen my little farming chart. That way you can actually see when things are planted and harvested. You can take a screenshot right now if you'd like. This is also available on my Discord. I've posted it on some of the Medieval Dynasty Facebook pages. Some of you have probably already seen it. But go ahead and take you a screenshot or screen grab, save the file. That way you can access it and use it when doing your crops as well. Okay, so the barn, I'd mentioned earlier that you need the barn to make the fertilizer. So inside the barn, you've got this little workbench. If you open the workbench, you can see that you can make animal feed, daub, fertilizer with 2 manure, or you can make fertilizer with 10 rot. And then of course you can do the poppy seeds right here as well. So depending on how you're getting your manure, however you're getting your fertilizer, you can have the 2 manure or the 10 rot per fertilizer. I'm doing rot right now. Then you have your threshing floor over here. So once you have your grain, so like my oat grain, I'm going to have a stalk from that. I can come in here and I can thresh the oat. Let's see, not the oat, the rye. There it is. Sorry. So you can thresh the rye. You're going to have 14 rye grain and you're going to get 7 straw from it. So you actually get 2 resources. You get your grain to replant the next time you need to plant rye grain or whatever it is that you're planting, because you can do oat, wheat, and flaxseed. Now, flaxseed is going to be a little bit different. Flaxseed, it only gives you flax. So it's going to give you seed, and it's going to give you flax. And the flax stalk is used for making thread in the sewing hut. But everything else is going to either give you grain and straw. The flax is the only one that gives you stalk. The stalk is used in your sewing hut. Do I have the sewing hut? I do not have a sewing hut. Oh. Well, I don't have space for a sewing hut. I might have to remove that and put the sewing hut there and then move the little woodshed out behind there. I didn't plan that very well. Oh well, no worries. I can fix that. But that is going to be your farming. That's basically how you set your fields. That was some of the questions I was getting about the fields and everything, is basically how to set them, how to change them, and things like that. So I've gone through and I've shown you everything that you need to know about farming. Again, if you are in the bag, let me pull out my bag again. If you're in the bag, you can right click the wheel, open the field, and it tells you what is not allowed and what is allowed for each season that you're in. Otherwise, you can use the chart that I gave you. That way you can pre-plan your fields and stuff. You can go through, you can make them whatever it is that you want, like I did with the onion right here. So I'm going to go through and I got my onion, I got my cabbage, I'm going to do a carrot field, I'm going to do some flax fields, I'm going to have the rye field that we just did. Have the rye field right here, and then I'll probably do an oat here, because the rye and the oat make animal feed.
Dry.
And my mouth is apparently dry. But I'll probably turn everything else, the remaining fields, into flax. That way I can get thread for various items and torches and stuff like that. Alrighty, now I'm giving my guy a drink. I can go back. I can put my stuff in the resource storage. I don't need the bag anymore. I made a bunch of wooden hoes and didn't even need them. That iron hoe that I had did pretty good. Matter of fact, where do I still have any left on it? Yeah, just 2%. I got 2% left on that. That lasted pretty good. If you can get you a metal hoe, those last quite a while. But that one was a iron hoe. I found it in a loot location. But anyway, folks, I think we're going to call that an episode. I'm going to continue working through the night again, going up and chopping trees. You can see I've really been thinning out the spruce trees and stuff up there. And then maybe probably go down and make some stone pickaxes and go through the cave, because we got our cave right up over here. Where's it at? There it is. Right there. It was behind that little tree there. But I got the cave over there. I should probably go through and clear that. That way we don't have to worry about the bear next season. Matter of fact, I may do something to where the bear won't spawn next season. We'll have to see about that. But anyway, if you folks are liking these episodes, definitely hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I greatly appreciate it. Special thank you to my members. You should be able to see them on the screen now. And we will see you folks in the next one. You take care and happy hunting.